It has been quite some time since the last time I did an Operation Protect the White Boy, but when I came across this in the Discord, I said this one is perfect. So this man's name is Scott Jenkins, and he is a former Virginia sheriff, and he was convicted of taking $75,000 in bribes. Basically, what happened was he was appointing businessmen to these positions that they didn't qualify for, and in return they would pay him, and he made about $75,000 in doing it. Now here's where the protection comes in. This guy ended up getting a pardon from none other than your commander-in-chief, Donald Trump. And his reasoning for it is because he wants him to go on and have a wonderful and productive life. That is actually what he said. President Donald Trump on Monday announced that he will pardon a former Virginia sheriff convicted of taking more than $75,000 in bribes in exchange for appointing businessmen as auxiliary deputy sheriffs within his department. In a Truth Social post, and I swear, I feel like Trump is the only person on that app, because every time I see a screenshot come from Truth Social, it's usually only him. Trump said Scott Howard Jenkins, age 53, of Culpeper, Virginia, was supposed to report to jail Tuesday, but, quote, instead will have a wonderful and productive life. Jenkins, the former sheriff of Culpeper County, was convicted last year of 1 count of conspiracy, 4 counts of honest services fraud, and 7 counts of bribery concerning programs receiving federal funds. He was sentenced in March to 10 years in prison. So he, he didn't even do 6 months in prison. He just got sentenced to prison in March. It is now May, and he ended up getting a pardon. In his post, Trump said the former sheriff and his wife had been, quote, dragged through hell, and he put hell in all caps, by a corrupt and weaponized Biden Justice Department. In fact, during his trial, when Sheriff Jenkins tried to offer exculpatory evidence to support himself, the Biden judge, Robert Ballou, refused to allow it, shut him down, and then went on a tirade. Trump wrote, "As we have seen in federal, city, and state courts, radical left or liberal judges allow into evidence what they feel like, not what is mandated under the Constitution and rules of evidence." Now, I want y'all to hang on to that. Now, let me preface this by saying this. I am not a fan of Biden. Y'all already know this by now. But when Trump said that, now that puts into perspective as to why he pardoned every last person that was involved with January 6th. Now it all makes sense. So what you're telling me, or what I'm gathering just by reading that statement, if anybody was, as he sees, done dirty under Biden's court system, if he gets wind of it and he feels that they were done wrong, and that's just how he feels, even if they did something dirty, because evidence shows that this guy was doing that he should be still locked up. But if he just feels like they were done wrong, he's going to use his power as the president to just straight up pardon them. That, for those out there that are not grasping what I'm saying, that is not a good thing. Because even though this guy only took bribes, and that's low on the totem pole, and no one's, as far as we know, life was in danger, what does that say about anybody who took someone's life? Why do you think all them people on mainly Twitter, or as they like to call it, X, keep going after trying to get Derek Chauvin released from jail, or having Trump to drop those Fed charges, even though the state charges, which he can't touch, outweigh the federal charges by like a year and a half. So even if he was to drop the federal charges, he still has to finish out his sentence under the state charges, which is slightly significantly longer. Now it's all starting to make sense. He goes on to say this sheriff is a victim of an overzealous Biden Department of Justice and doesn't deserve to spend a single day in jail. He also says he is a wonderful person who was persecuted by the radical left monsters and left for dead. This is why I, as president of the United States, see fit to end his unfair sentence and grant Sheriff Jenkins a full, in all caps, and unconditional pardon. Well, I hope that this Scott Jenkins person is aware that now that he's gotten this pardon by Trump, that he technically has him on a leash. This is one of those, I wouldn't be surprised if this is going to be one of those, you scratch my back, I scratch yours type of thing. Federal prosecutors allege Jenkins accepted cash bribes and bribes in the form of campaign contributions from co-defendants Rick Raheen, Frederick Gumpiner, and James Metcalf, as well as at least 5 others, including 2 FBI undercover agents. In exchange, Jenkins appointed the people paying the bribes as auxiliary deputy chiefs, a sworn law enforcement position, and issued them official Culpeper County Sheriff's Office badges and credentials. So basically, like I said, people who weren't even qualified. Like imagine doing all that work to get to the position in which he just handed these people these positions in exchange for money. I, as a person, if I was working there, would be pissed the hell off that it felt like all my hard work just went to waste and you just gave these positions to people because you knew you was getting money on the back end. None of the payers were trained or vetted and did not render any legitimate services to the sheriff's office. No surprise there. In April, Jenkins said he hoped that Trump would intervene in his case, and look at what happened. Like a person rubbing a lamp and for a genie to pop out, and he granted one of his wishes. He's quoted as saying, "I truly believe if I could get an hour of time with someone in the administration and lay out some facts with my attorney, and I really believe if they could hear the other side, which I couldn't get in front of the jury, I believe wholeheartedly in the president," he said during a webinar hosted by the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association. "I believe if he heard the information, I know he would help if he knew my story." And that's all it took. And Trump just listened to him, whatever nonsense he said, because it was probably a bunch of BS, and said, "Okay, I've heard enough." He probably made him swear or make him say, "Are you a fan of MAGA? Are you a fan of me?" And he probably just sat up there and said, "Yeah." He said, "Whatever it takes to get me out. Hey, let's see if we can make it work." And unfortunately, it ended up working. This might be one of the most interesting Operation Protect the White Boys that I have done so far this year. And I've done a couple, not that many, but this one, this one's going to definitely stick out like a sore thumb. And it's probably not going to be anybody that's going to know about it. I mean, you might find out about it by the time this video goes up. But in case this is your first time hearing about it, I definitely got to hear from y'all. I need to know, even if you heard about it, let me know what y'all think about this one down in the comments, and I will talk to you in the next one.